Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you this fun fold card that I created with the Spotlight in Nature stamp set. This stamp set is part of a bundle that you can find in our 2024 annual catalog. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I'm going to ink up the floral image here with my memento and stamp it onto my basic white cardstock like so. And then I'm going to bring in the butterfly image and ink that up in the memento right above it to the right, like that. And then I'm going to bring in the piece of designer series paper. Now I'm going to stamp directly onto this, and I'm going to be using this little bubble side because that's the accent piece, and I'm going to be die cutting it out with my perennial postage die here. So I am going to line that up and stamp, and then I can cut this out like so. So let's move on to the coloring. To color my image, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to start with this butterfly here, and I'm going to bring in my peach pie and quickly fill in the butterfly just with the flare tip. I'm not worried about details at this point. I'm just adding in that layer of color. And of course, if you don't have one of our Stampin' Blend color lifters, that's always a great product to have on hand, as it will allow you to push the color back in where you have made mistakes going out of the line. I'm going to bring my dark blend in now, and I'm simply going to add some of the layering to my wings, and following that line that Stampin' Up! Has given us with the shading on this, and just some of the sections like so. So there you go. I've got my butterfly finished with the peach pie, and I'm ready to move on to my flowers. Now I'm going to use my light Summer Splash for this, and I'm simply going to go over the line of the stems quickly, just adding a hint of color to them. And then I'm going to fill in the leaves just quickly, laying in that color again like I did on the butterfly. Once I have my basic color laid in, I'm going to bring in my dark and add some of that detail along the lines that Stampin' Up! Gave us. There we go. I've got my Summer Splash finished, and I'm ready to bring in my Pretty in Pink. I'm going to lay in the color on the flowers quickly, and then do the same technique with the dark. There we go. I've got my coloring done, and I'm ready to move on to building my card. While I was at my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, I cut out the sentiment, and I also cut out the large die in Summer Splash to layer my image on. So I'm going to add that quickly. Once I have that on there, I'm going to bring in my card base. This happens to measure 5.5 by 5.5, but it's scored at the 4 1/4 inch mark. And what that's going to do is give me this fun fold that's going to highlight the designer series paper. So I'm going to add this polka dot stripe right here on the outside edge. And as you can see, this is the back side of that larger piece and what we did our sentiment with. And I'm going to attach that like so. And then I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to lay my piece of designer series paper in here, and I am going to put it right here like I normally would, with that little bit of color going all the way around. At this point, I can add a little adhesive on the outside edge here, and I'm going to go just short of my designer series paper, and I'm going to add some adhesive to the inside of the designer series paper edge on the left. And then all I have to do is close, and I've got that paper adhered down exactly where I want it with this lovely little border. There we go. I got a little bit of the multi-purpose adhesive here since I added too thick of a bead and not far enough in. And of course you can use your embossing buddy to just simply tap that and deaden the adhesive. Next I'm going to bring in my little butterfly panel here, and I'm going to adhere this to the front. I'm going to adhere this flat because I'm going to use dimensionals on the sentiment. So I'm simply going to add that around the back side and adhere. And then I'm going to bring in my die cut sentiment here, and I am going to turn it over, and I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal to the back here. I'm going to use that for my baker's twine here, and I'm simply going to loop this around my fingers a couple of times, like so. Bringing those ends together and twisting and patting that down into that adhesive like so, just to give it a random feel and look, and you can kind of adjust as you would like. There we go. I've got that the way I want it, and I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to add one to each end. It's okay if it goes over the baker's twine. And matter of fact, I'm going to add one in the center here just to give it a really nice solid foundation. Remove the backings. Okay, I've got my dimensionals on the back, and I'm going to set this right here. Let's see, I believe in the lower right-hand corner, like so. Those dimensionals will hold everything nice and tight. And then I'm going to bring in some of these beautiful resin dots. These dots come in all 5 of the 2024 in colors, and I can simply pick some of these up and scatter them around the card front. I'm going to use the Summer Sun here and just scatter a couple around and in the floral image here, like so. There you go, quick and easy. And of course, if you'd like, you can add a few more also. So there you go, a quick and easy card using the Spotlight in Nature stamp set and our Stampin' Blends. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop on my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.